Welcome back everybody to another episode of Direct Comparison. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at the recently released Halo Reach, which was just made available as part of the Master Chief Collection on the PC, and see how it compares visually to the original Xbox 360 build from 2010. For this analysis, I'll be running the Master Chief Collection at a 1440p resolution, with the settings pushed as high as possible at an unlocked frame rate. Because of this, we should expect the PC version to have 4 times the image clarity in practically every side-by-side, with cleaner edges and crisper detail. Though, I do also want to point out a few other changes that have been made as well. So, to kick this comparison off, let's start by taking a look at how the Noble team has benefited from their PC debut. As expected, the most noticeable improvement here is to the image clarity. Every line around the character models is now perfectly clear, with no visible jagged edges, and it helps to accentuate every small detail. Small scratches, dirt, and the sharp lines that help to define the various joints and pieces are now distinct from one another, unlike the original version where the image appears blurry and washed out. The bump to texture resolution also helps to bring out some incredibly small details that were not even noticeable before, like these small holes along the rear vents on Kat's armor, or the surface scratches to the skull insignia on Emil's helmet. Other than that though, there really haven't been many changes made to the character models. All the animations, cutscenes, and designs remain completely intact, and appear to have only been touched up slightly. The environments seem to have been handled the same way. Each mission plays identically to the original game, but now benefits from the increased image resolution, higher res textures, and a greatly increased draw distance. Though it doesn't seem like every environmental texture was improved. The ground textures, for example, look practically identical, whereas the rocky cliff faces and trees offer a drastic improvement. This is even more apparent in the multiplayer levels, where there's little to no changes at all. However, the higher resolutions do help a great deal, especially with eliminating jagged edges to thin objects in the distance. There also appears to be a few tiny additions to the maps, like this new door mechanism off in the corner of Powerhouse. Lighting changes between these two versions are even less noticeable, though there has been a slight tweak to how the bloom effects are handled, especially during some of the cutscenes. This opening sequence, for example, shows a much stronger bloom implementation in the original version that hides a lot of the rough detail on the soldier's helmet. However, the effect is more subtle in the latest version, and the texture surface and sharp lines are now more clearly defined as a result. Additionally, the latest version also appears to have better color contrast, making the bright colors of Noble Squad stand out more against the dull environments, as opposed to just blending in with the image. This also helps a great deal when showcasing reflective surfaces, especially with the Elite Covenants, who now appear even more shiny and impressive as a result. Shadow quality has been improved a great deal, thanks to an increase in shadow resolution. This helps to eliminate a great deal of the edge shimmer visible in the original version, and makes the shadows appear more crisp. Additionally, the shadows now appear much darker against the backdrops, again reinforcing the improved contrast of the image. Shadows have also seen a minor improvement in cutscenes, with less visual banding along the soldier's face. Next up, let's look at some of the effects. One of the first noticeable improvements to effects is the increase to the ambient fog in the environments, which is still present in the original game, but not nearly as noticeable. Fire effects seem to have been carried over directly. However, now that the bloom effects have been toned down, the fire effects are arguably worse, as the low-resolution flame sprites are more noticeable, and it doesn't seem like the fire is actually attached to any particular material in the vehicle. Explosions appear virtually identical, though the blast does seem to illuminate more of the shrapnel in this image here, whereas before, the streaks appear as dark gray in every frame. Otherwise, the particles, fireball resolution, and general appearance of the explosions are exactly the same. Water effects have also seen a slight increase to quality, though it still behaves mostly the same way. Finally, let's listen to a few sound comparisons. One of Halo Reach on the PC's biggest complaints raised so far has been related to the quality of the sounds, so what do you guys think?
Banshees, heads up, Charlie 1. Banshees, heads up, Charlie 1.
Picking up a power source. It's close to the AA gun. Picking up a power source. It's close to the AA gun.
And that wraps up this episode of Direct Comparison. Overall, Halo Reach on the PC benefits primarily from its ability to render natively at a higher resolution, and from several higher resolution textures for both character and environmental surfaces. Lighting effects, aside from a decrease in bloom and improved contrast, has not been altered a great deal, though shadows do appear darker and benefit from higher resolution shadow mapping. Effects are also more or less the same, though explosions receive some minor tweaks and fog density has been increased a small amount. In the end, the most noticeable change players will notice when booting up the PC version of this game is the ability to unlock the frame rate, which helps significantly improve the fluidity of the experience. However, it does feel as though the character animations are still being rendered at a disappointing 60 Hz, making things like firing and reloading appear far less fluid than they should. Additionally, Halo Reach on the PC suffers from some frame pacing issues, likely a result of their efforts to port a game that never supported unlocked frame rates to begin with. However, these are minor issues when considering how terrible the performance is on the original 360 version, with frequent dips in frame rate below 20 FPS. And that performance improvement alone is enough to make the latest Master Chief Collection version of Reach the best way to play. But what do you guys think? Do you think Halo Reach on the PC is a big enough improvement, or were you fine with the original 360 version? Let me know in the comments section. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos posted every week.